Olivia Reeves stood on the ridge overlooking the valley. The air was thin on this planet, and the sky had a purple tint that never quite felt like home. She lifted her rifle and peered through the scope. The M72 pulsar hummed softly against her cheek, a gentle reminder of the power it held. "See anything, Ghost Shot?" asked Sam, her spotter. He lay beside her, binoculars raised to his eyes. "Nothing yet," Olivia whispered. Her eyes never left the scope, but they're out there. The Vraxians were always out there. Tall, gray-skinned aliens with 4 arms and eyes that glowed yellow in the dark. For 5 years now, humans had fought them across dozens of planets. The war had started when the Vraxians attacked the first human colony beyond our solar system. No one knew why. They just came, killed, and took what they wanted. Olivia's finger rested lightly on the trigger of her rifle. The neural link at the base of her skull tingled, connecting her mind to the weapon. Through this link, she could feel every part of the rifle, the chamber, the power cells, the targeting system. It was like the gun was part of her body. "Movement," Sam said suddenly. 2 o'clock, near the big rock formation. Olivia shifted, her aim without a word. The scope zoomed in, showing her a group of Vraxians setting up what looked like a communications array. She counted 6 of them. "I see them, 6 targets. Looks like they're establishing a forward base." She took a deep breath and let it out slowly. The neural link hummed as the rifle system synchronized with her heartbeat. The scope compensated for wind, gravity, and distance. A small red dot appeared on the first Vraxian's chest. Olivia squeezed the trigger. There was almost no sound, just a soft whine as the pulsar beam fired. The first Vraxian dropped without a sound. Before the others could react, she had taken down 2 more. The remaining 3 scattered, diving for cover, but cover meant little to Olivia's rifle. The M72 could fire through most materials, using advanced sensors to track heat signatures and movement. "They're calling for backup," Sam warned. Listening to radio chatter through his earpiece, Olivia took down the 4th and 5th targets with clean shots through the rocks they hid behind. The last one was running back toward their ship, moving in a zigzag pattern. "Too late," she whispered, and fired one last time. The beam caught the Vraxian in mid-stride. It fell and did not move again. "All clear," she said, pulling back from her rifle. "Let's call it in." Sam nodded and began sending their report to headquarters. Olivia stood up and stretched. Her body was stiff from lying still for so long. The neural link at the base of her skull tingled as she disconnected from the rifle systems. "Base says good work," Sam reported. "They want us to hold position and watch for any more activity." Olivia nodded and was about to reply when a flash of light caught her eye. She spun around, raising her rifle, but it was too late. A blast of energy hit the ground near them, throwing both soldiers off their feet. "Ambush!" Sam yelled, scrambling for his weapon. Olivia rolled to her knees, reconnecting to her rifle in one smooth motion. The neural link flared to life, but something was wrong. The usual clear connection felt fuzzy, like static on an old radio. "They're jamming our tech," she shouted to Sam. More energy blasts rained down from the hills behind them. Olivia fired back, but without the precise targeting her neural link usually provided, her shots went wide. Sam's voice came through her earpiece. "We need to fall back. There are too many." Olivia glanced back and saw Sam take a hit to the leg. He fell, crying out in pain. "Go!" he yelled at her. "Get back to the others." Instead, Olivia ran to him. She fired her rifle on wide dispersion, creating a wall of energy that forced the approaching Vraxians to take cover. With her free arm, she grabbed Sam and began dragging him toward a cluster of rocks that would provide better protection. "You should have left me," Sam groaned as she propped him against the rocks. "Not how we do things," Olivia replied, checking his wound. "It was bad, but not fatal if they could get back to base soon." She tapped her comm unit. "Lieutenant Reeves to base. We're under heavy fire. Request immediate extraction. 1 wounded." The reply came back broken and full of static. Coming. Hold position. 10 minutes. 10 minutes was a long time in a firefight. Olivia peeked over the rocks and counted at least 15 Vraxians closing in on their position. "I'll hold them." "Off," she told Sam. "Extraction's coming." She connected to her rifle again, fighting through the jamming technology that made the neural link feel like she was trying to think through mud. The rifle responded, but sluggishly. Still, it was better than nothing. Olivia took aim and began firing methodically, picking off the closest Vraxians first. 1, 2, 3 fell to her shots. But they were learning, staying in cover, moving only when her attention was elsewhere. A blast hit the rock near her head, showering her with stone fragments. Olivia ducked down, feeling blood trickle from a cut on her cheek. "They're flanking us," Sam warned, his voice weak. He had his sidearm out but looked too pale to use it effectively. Olivia checked her rifle's power cell. It was running low after so much continuous fire. She had maybe 20 shots left. "Make them count," she told herself. She rose again and took careful aim. 4 more Vraxians fell to her shots. But they were still coming, and now some had reached positions where they could fire at Sam and Olivia from multiple angles. Energy blasts hit all around them. One struck Olivia's shoulder, spinning her around. The pain was intense, like being burned and cut at the same time. She gritted her teeth and kept firing. In the distance, she heard the welcome sound of a dropship's engines. Extraction was coming. They just had to hold on a little longer. "Almost there," she told Sam. "Just a few more minutes." But as she turned to fire again, something hit her rifle. The weapon sparked and went dead in her hands. Worse, the neural link gave a sharp pulse of pain that made her cry out. It felt like someone had driven a needle into her brain. The Vraxians were closing in now, confident without Olivia's deadly rifle keeping them at bay. She drew her sidearm, knowing it would not be enough. "Go," Sam told her, pushing weakly at her arm. "The ship will be here soon. I'll cover you." Olivia shook her head. "We go together or not at all." The first Vraxian appeared around the edge of their cover. Olivia shot it with her sidearm, but 2 more took its place. One of them carried a strange device that pulsed with blue light. When it pointed the device at her, Olivia felt the neural link in her skull burn like fire. She screamed and fell too. Her knees, the world swam before her eyes. She was vaguely aware of Vraxians surrounding her, of Sam firing his weapon until they took him down too. The last thing Olivia remembered was being lifted by multiple hands. She caught a glimpse of the human dropship arriving too late, hovering helplessly as the Vraxians carried her and Sam toward their own vessel. Then darkness took her. Olivia woke to pain. Her head throbbed where the neural link connected to her skull. She tried to move but found her arms and legs strapped down to a cold metal table. The room around her was dim, lit only by blue lights that pulsed in a slow rhythm. She turned her head as much as the restraints allowed. The room was small and sterile. Medical equipment lined the walls, but none of it looked human. Everything had the curved, organic look of Vraxian technology. The door slid open with a soft hiss. A tall Vraxian entered. Unlike the soldiers Olivia had fought, this one wore a long white coat over its gray skin. Its 4 arms moved with careful precision as it checked various screens around the room. "You are awake. Good." The Vraxian's voice came through a translator device on its chest. The words sounded flat and emotionless. "Where am I?" Olivia asked. Her throat felt dry, her voice raspy. "Where's Sam?" The Vraxian tilted its head. Its yellow eyes blinked slowly. "Your companion did not survive transport. His wounds were too severe." Olivia closed her eyes. Sam was dead. She had tried to save him and failed. "What do you want from me?" she asked when she could speak again. The Vraxian moved closer to the table. "I am Commander Krell. I lead research into human neural weapons technology. You are now part of that research." Olivia pulled against her restraints. "I won't tell you anything." Krell made a sound that might have been a laugh. "We do not need you to tell us anything, Lieutenant Olivia Reeves. Your body will tell us everything we need to know." A cold feeling spread through Olivia's stomach. What does that mean? Instead of answering, Krell pressed a button on one of the screens. A mechanical arm descended from the ceiling. At its tip was a device that looked like a small drill. "Your neural link is the most advanced we have seen," Krell said. "Most humans can only use their links to fire weapons. But you have achieved a deeper connection. You feel the weapon is part of yourself. This is why you were chosen." The drill-like device stopped just above the neural link at the base of Olivia's skull. She tried to pull away, but the restraints held her firmly in place. "The link goes both ways," Krell continued. "It allows your brain to control the weapon, but it also allows signals to enter your brain. We wish to see how far these signals can go." The drill began to spin. Olivia felt a sharp pain as it connected with her neural link. Then came a sensation like ice spreading through her veins. Her vision blurred. "What are you doing to me?" she gasped. "Improving you," Krell replied simply. Days passed in a blur of pain and strange sensations. Olivia lost track of time. Sometimes she woke strapped to the table. Other times she found herself in a small cell with a single bed and toilet. They fed her a tasteless paste that kept her alive but always hungry. Krell came every day with new tests. New injections, new procedures. He never seemed angry or happy, just intensely curious. He would make notes on his screens as Olivia's body reacted to whatever they had done to her that day. "The nanits are integrating well with your neural pathways," he told her after one particularly painful session. "Soon they will reach your visual cortex. Then we will see real progress." "Nanits?" Olivia asked weakly. "What nanits?" "Microscopic machines," Krell explained. "They travel through your bloodstream to your brain. They extend the neural link throughout your body." Olivia felt sick at the thought of tiny machines crawling through her brain. But there was nothing she could do to stop it. One morning, at least, she thought it was morning, Olivia woke in her cell and noticed something strange. The lights on the ceiling seemed brighter than before. When she looked closely, she could see the individual energy pulses flowing through them. She sat up quickly, alarmed. This wasn't normal human vision. She looked down at her hands. They seemed the same, but when she concentrated, she could feel something different. A network of tiny sensations just under her skin, like thousands of tiny threads connecting every part of her body. The door to her cell opened, and 2 Vraxian guards entered. They were armed with stun batons. "Test chamber," one of them said through its translator. Now, Olivia stood slowly. As she did, she noticed something else new. She could feel a faint signal coming from the guards' weapons. It was similar to the feeling she used to get from her rifle through the neural link, but fainter. The guards led her down a long hallway to a large room she hadn't seen before. Krell was waiting inside, along with several other Vraxian scientists. "Today, we try something new," Krell announced. He gestured to a table where a small Vraxian pistol lay. "Pick it up," Olivia approached cautiously. "Why?" "We wish to see if your enhanced neural link can interface with Vraxian technology. If successful, it will prove our theory correct." Olivia looked at the weapon. She had no intention of helping the Vraxians with their research, but she was also curious. If she could use their weapons, maybe she could find a way to escape. She picked up the pistol. Immediately, she felt a connection form. It wasn't as clear as with her M72 rifle, but she could sense the weapon's power cell, its firing mechanism, its targeting system. "Good," Krell said, watching her closely. "Now, target the practice dummy and fire." Across the room, a humanoid shape had appeared on a screen. Olivia raised the pistol, feeling the connection strengthen as she focused. Without conscious thought, her mind reached out through the neural link. The pistol responded, adjusting its power output and targeting systems. She fired. The shot hit the dummy perfectly in the center. Krell made excited clicks in his native language to the other scientists. Then he turned back to Olivia. "Again," he ordered. "But this time, do not use your hands." Olivia frowned. "What do you mean?" "The nanits should allow you to connect to the weapon without physical contact. Place it on the table and try to fire it with your mind alone." Olivia hesitated, then placed the pistol back on the table. She took a step back and stared at it. This was impossible. Even with her enhanced M72, she had needed to hold the rifle. But as she concentrated on the weapon, she felt the strange network under her skin come alive. The threads of sensation extended outward, reaching for the pistol. To her shock, she felt the connection form. The pistol on the table twitched. Then it rose a few inches into the air, turning to point at the target. Olivia's mind raced. This wasn't just a neural link anymore. This was something far beyond what human technology could do. With a thought, she fired the floating weapon. The shot went wide, missing the dummy entirely and hitting the wall behind it. Krell didn't seem disappointed. Remarkable. After only 3 weeks, you can already manipulate objects telekinetically. Your species adapts even faster than we hypothesized. 3 weeks. She had been here for 3 weeks already. As the guards led her back to her cell, Olivia's mind was working faster than it ever had before. The nanites weren't just changing her connection to weapons. They were changing her. And if she could make a Vraxian pistol float and fire, what else might she be able to do? For the first time since her capture, Olivia felt something other than fear and pain. She felt hope. Olivia lay on her cell bed, eyes closed but not sleeping. Inside her mind, she explored the new sensations the nanites had created. It was like having a map of her own body, showing every nerve, every blood vessel, every connection between brain and limb. Each day, the experiments continued. Each day, her abilities grew stronger. She could now sense electrical systems through walls. She could feel the energy flowing through the ship around her. And when she concentrated hard, she could make small objects move without touching them, but she kept some of these discoveries secret from Krell. When the scientists tested her, she deliberately failed certain tasks. She made the floating gun drop or miss its target. She pretended not to understand when they asked her about sensing electrical fields. The subject's progress has slowed, she overheard Krell telling another scientist one day. Perhaps we have reached the limits of human adaptation. Olivia hid her smile. Let them think that. Let them underestimate her. During the night cycle, when the guards were fewer, she practiced. She learned to extend her awareness beyond her cell, feeling the movement of guards in the hallway, the hum of the ship's engines far below. She discovered she could interfere with the lock mechanism on her cell door, though not enough to open it yet. 5 weeks into her captivity, everything changed. She was lying on her bed when she felt something new, a vast network of information, flowing through hidden pathways in the walls. It took her a moment to realize what she was sensing. The ship's computer system. Olivia sat up, heart racing. The nanites had spread far enough that she could now detect data signals. Could she also read them? She closed her eyes and focused on the flow of information, trying to make sense of the patterns. At first, it was like listening to a language she didn't understand. But slowly, parts began to make sense. The nanites in her brain were translating the data, letting her understand the Vraxian computer code. She saw security protocols, crew schedules, ship schematics. And then she found something that made her blood run cold: detailed plans for a massive invasion of human space. The experiments on her were just the beginning. The Vraxians planned to use what they learned to create weapons that could control human soldiers through their neural links. The invasion would begin in less than a month. Olivia opened her eyes. She had to escape, had to warn Earth. But how? The ship was in deep space, far from any human outpost. Even if she could break out of her cell, she would need to find a way off the ship. She spent the next day mapping the ship in her mind, following the data pathways to build a mental picture of every deck, every room. She located the hangar bay where smaller ships were kept. She found the armory, the bridge, the engine room. That night, as she lay in her cell pretending to sleep, she made her decision. It was time to test the full extent of her new abilities. Olivia focused on the lock of her cell door. Before, she had only been able to sense it, maybe disrupt it a little. Now she reached into it with her mind, feeling every component, understanding how they fit together. With a careful push of mental energy, she triggered the release mechanism. The door slid open. Olivia waited, hardly daring to breathe. No alarm sounded. The hallway outside remained empty. Slowly, she got up from her bed and moved to the doorway. Freedom was just steps away, But she knew the hard part was still ahead. She stepped into the hallway, extending her senses to locate nearby guards. Two were stationed at the end of the corridor, but their attention was focused away from the cells. Using her new awareness of the ship's systems, Olivia triggered a small power fluctuation in a distant section. Warning lights flashed and the guards moved off to investigate. Olivia moved quickly in the opposite direction. She knew she needed to reach the hangar bay, but first she had to find a weapon. The nearest armory was 2 decks below. She avoided the main corridors, using service tunnels and maintenance shafts that she had discovered in the ship's schematics. Twice she had to freeze and hide as crew members passed nearby. Each time she used her abilities to distract them, causing lights to flicker or doors to malfunction, drawing their attention away from her. When she reached the armory, she faced her first real challenge. The door had a complex lock, and 2 guards stood watch outside. Olivia considered her options. She could try to overpower them, but she wasn't sure how strong her new abilities were in a direct fight. Instead, she reached out with her mind to the ship's communication system. With careful manipulation, she created a false alert, calling the guards to a different section of the ship. As they hurried away, she approached the armory door. The lock was harder than her cell door, but not impossible. After several tense minutes of concentration, it clicked open. Inside, she found racks of Vraxian weapons. She selected a pistol similar to the one she had practiced with during the experiments, but as she held it, she realized something. The weapon felt primitive compared to what she could do now. The nanites had changed her, enhanced her beyond the need for external tools. Still, she took the pistol. It might be useful as a distraction if nothing else. Olivia made her way toward the hangar bay, moving more confidently now. When a pair of crew members spotted her, she didn't hide. Instead, she reached out with her mind and touched the electrical systems in their translator devices. The devices sparked and failed, leaving the Vraxians unable to call for help. Before they could react, she pushed again with her mind, sending a surge of energy through their nervous systems. They collapsed, unconscious but alive. She felt no pleasure in this, only grim determination. These weren't the scientists who had experimented on her, just crew doing their jobs. But she couldn't let them stop her. The hangar bay was ahead, its massive doors currently closed. Beyond them were the scout ships that could take her back to human space. As Olivia approached, alarms began to sound throughout the ship. They had discovered her escape. "Attention all crew," Krell's voice echoed over the intercom. "The human test subject has escaped. She is to be recaptured unharmed. Exercise extreme caution." Olivia smiled grimly. They still didn't understand what they had created. She wasn't just an escaped test subject. She wasn't just a soldier without her weapon. She had become the weapon. Reaching out with her enhanced senses, Olivia connected to the hangar bay doors. This was the most complex system she had attempted to control, but she had no choice. As armed guards appeared at both ends of the corridor, she pushed with all her mental strength. The massive doors began to slide open, warning lights flashed as air started to rush toward the opening. Emergency force fields sprang into place, containing the atmosphere while allowing ships to pass through. Olivia ran forward toward the nearest scout ship. Behind her, the guards opened fire, but she could sense the energy blasts coming and dodged them with inhuman speed. She reached the scout ship, just as more guards flooded into the hangar. As they surrounded her, weapons raised, Olivia didn't reach for her stolen pistol. Instead, she raised her hands and released the power that had been building inside her. A wave of energy burst outward, disabling weapons, shorting out equipment, and sending the guards flying backward. For a moment, Olivia stood alone in the center of the hangar, untouched and unafraid. Then she turned and boarded the scout ship. Her mind connected instantly with its systems, more complex than anything she had controlled before, but still within her new capabilities. The engines roared to life as the ship lifted off the deck. As she piloted the ship out of the hangar and into the darkness of space, Olivia set course for the nearest human outpost. She had to warn them about the coming invasion. And she had to show them what she had become. Behind her, the Vraxian research vessel grew smaller, Ahead lay freedom and a chance to save her people. The stolen Vraxian scout ship cut through space, its engines pushed to their limits. Olivia sat in the pilot's seat, but her hands didn't touch the controls. Instead, she guided the ship with her mind, connected directly to its systems through the nanits in her body. Space stretched empty and vast around her. According to the ship's navigation system, the nearest human outpost was 3 days away. She hoped the ship's life support would last that long. She also hoped the Vraxians weren't. Following her dot, as if in answer to her thoughts, warning signals flashed across the ship's displays. Long-range sensors had detected a larger vessel in pursuit. Krell's research ship was coming after her. Olivia pushed the engines harder. Knowing she couldn't outrun the larger ship forever, she needed a plan. The scout ship had minimal weapons, not enough to fight back effectively. Her best hope was to reach human space before they caught up. She checked the navigation system again, and noticed something she had missed before. There was a dense asteroid field ahead. It would be dangerous to navigate, but it might slow down her pursuers. Olivia changed course. As the first asteroids appeared, she reached out with her enhanced senses, mapping their positions and movements. Flying through the field would require split-second reactions that no normal human pilot could manage. But Olivia wasn't a normal human anymore. The scout ship darted between massive rocks, sometimes with only meters to spare. Behind her, the Vraxian research vessel slowed, forced to take a more cautious approach. Olivia smiled grimly. She was gaining distance, then a bright flash lit up the cockpit. A Vraxian weapon had struck a nearby asteroid, shattering it. Chunks of rock flew in all directions. One hit the scout ship's engine housing, sending the small craft spinning out of control. Olivia fought to regain control, using both her mind and the manual controls. The ship stabilized, but damage warnings blared throughout the cockpit. One engine was failing, venting plasma into space. Their speed dropped dramatically. The research vessel was closing in now. Olivia knew she couldn't outrun them anymore. She had to find another way. She scanned the asteroid field, looking for options. Then she saw it, a particularly large asteroid with deep crevices and caves. If she could hide there, perhaps she could repair the ship, or at least avoid capture. Long enough to send a warning message to Earth, Olivia guided the damaged ship toward the asteroid, slipping into one of the larger caves. She powered down all non-essential systems to minimize the chance of detection. Then she began to assess the damage. The engine was beyond repair with the tools she had available. Life support was still functioning, but fuel was leaking. She had maybe 12 hours before the ship became unusable. Olivia turned her attention to the communication system. The scout ship wasn't designed for long-range communication with human frequencies, but she might be able to modify it. Using her ability to interface directly with the ship's technology, she began rewiring components, redirecting power, changing settings. Hours passed as she worked. Occasionally, she detected Vraxian scout ships passing near her hiding place, searching for her. But the dense mineral content of the asteroid helped mask her presence. Finally, the modified communication system was ready. Olivia composed a brief message, including everything she had learned about the planned invasion, the coordinates of the Vraxian fleet, and a warning about their technology that could control neural links. She added a personal note at the end. This is Lieutenant Olivia Reeves, ID 87,542, reported missing in action 6 weeks ago. I have escaped Vraxian captivity with critical information. They experimented on me. I am ... changed. Do not trust their neural technology. Prepare for invasion. This may be my only transmission. She sent the message, boosting the signal as much as possible. There was no way to know if it reached any human receivers. All she could do was hope. As the transmission ended, an alarm sounded. A Vraxian scout ship was approaching her hiding place. They had detected her signal. Olivia powered up her ship's systems again, preparing to run. But before she could launch, an energy blast hit the cave entrance, causing a rockfall that partially blocked her exit. Another blast followed, striking her ship directly. Systems failed across the board. Life support flickered and died. In the sudden silence, Olivia could hear the hiss of air escaping into space, that she had minutes at most before the cabin lost all pressure. The Vraxians had found her, and now they would recapture her. Or maybe they would just let her die here, rather than risk her escaping again. Olivia closed her eyes, focusing inward. The nanits in her body were still active, still changing her. Could they help her survive even this? She remembered something Krell had said during one of the experiments. The nanits respond to need and desire. They reshape the host according to survival requirements. Olivia concentrated on that need now, the desperate need to survive in vacuum, to breathe without air, to withstand the cold of space. She felt the nanits stirring, flowing through her body faster than before. Pain shot through her lungs, her skin, her eyes as changes began at the cellular level. The ship's hull cracked further. Air rushed out more quickly. Olivia gasped, unable to breathe. Darkness edged her vision, then something changed. The pain faded, her lungs stopped burning. Her skin no longer felt the biting cold. She opened her eyes and saw the ship's cabin. Now completely exposed to space, the hull torn open by another Vraxian blast, but she was still alive. Still conscious. Still breathing, though not in any way she recognized as breathing. Olivia looked down at her hands. Her skin had taken on a faint metallic sheen. When she touched her face, it felt harder, smoother. The nanits had transformed. Her body, creating a shell that protected her from vacuum. Outside the ruined ship, she saw the Vraxian scout craft hovering. A boarding party was preparing to enter the cave. They expected to find her dead or dying. They weren't prepared for what she had become. Olivia pushed herself out of the pilot's seat, floating in the zero gravity of the destroyed cabin. She had no ship now, no weapons except herself. But maybe that was enough. She recalled her training as a space marine. In an emergency, it was possible to make short jumps through vacuum, using the gas escaping from a suit as propulsion. She had no suit now, but the principle was the same. Olivia focused her mind, connecting to what remained of the ship's systems. With a thought, she triggered the emergency thrusters. The burst of energy shot her forward, out of the ruined ship and toward the Vraxian scout craft. The Vraxian boarding party spotted her coming. Their movements showed their shock at seeing a human flying through space without protection. They raised their weapons too late. Olivia crashed into the nearest Vraxian, sending them both tumbling. The alien's helmet cracked against the rocky wall of the cave. Emergency systems in its suit sealed the breach, but the Vraxian was stunned. Olivia grabbed its weapon and turned to face the others. They fired at her, but somehow she could sense the energy blasts before they hit, twisting her body to avoid them. One blast grazed her arm, leaving a burn that healed almost instantly as the nanits repaired the damage. She returned fire, not aiming to kill, but to disable. These weren't the scientists who had tortured her. They were just soldiers following orders. Within moments, the boarding party was neutralized. Olivia pushed herself toward their ship, the only way off this asteroid now. As she approached, she felt her mind connecting to its systems. Just as she had with the scout ship she stole from the research vessel, the hatch opened at her mental command. Olivia pulled herself inside, sealed the ship, and restored atmosphere. She took a deep breath, testing her lungs again. They worked normally now, adapting back to an air environment. She moved to the pilot's seat and started the engines. As the ship lifted away from the asteroid, she saw the Vraxian research vessel looming in the distance. Krell would be watching. Perhaps finally understanding what his experiments had created, Olivia set course for human space once more. This time, she wouldn't try to run and hide. This time, she would fight. The Vraxian scout ship dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of human space. Through the viewscreen, Olivia could see the distant lights of Outpost Delta, the furthest human military station from Earth. Normally, approaching an outpost in an alien vessel would trigger immediate defensive measures. But Olivia had a plan. She opened a communication channel on standard human military frequencies. Outpost Delta, this is Lieutenant Olivia Reeves, ID 87542. I am approaching in a captured Vraxian vessel. Request emergency landing and direct communication. With command, there was a long pause. Then a cautious voice responded, unidentified vessel. Lieutenant Reeves was declared missing in action and presumed dead 7 weeks ago. Please verify identity. Olivia took a deep breath. Authorization. Code Bravo Echo 7902. I was captured during an ambush on Outpost Sigma 7. My spotter was Sam Wilson. We were part of the 103rd Recon Division under Captain Joe Davis. Another pause. Then, approach on Vector 227. Prepare to be boarded and escorted. Any deviation will result in immediate defensive action. Understood, Olivia replied. She guided the ship toward the coordinates they provided, wondering how they would react when they saw what she had become. As she approached the outpost, a defense cruiser moved alongside her. Armed soldiers in spacesuits boarded through the airlock. They entered the cockpit with weapons raised, clearly shocked to find a lone human woman at the controls. Lieutenant Reeves? The squad leader asked, his voice muffled by his helmet. Olivia nodded. It's me, but I'm different now. The soldiers escorted her to Outpost Delta. Medical staff were waiting as she stepped off the ship. They moved forward with scanners, then stopped, staring at the readings. What happened to you? One doctor asked, looking from his scanner to Olivia and back again. Vrexian experiments, she replied simply. I need to speak with whoever's in charge. There's an invasion coming. They took her to a quarantine room first, running more tests. Olivia submitted patiently, understanding their caution. After 2 hours, the door opened and a gray-haired man in an admiral's uniform entered. Admiral Greg Parker, he introduced himself. I commanded the search mission for your team when you went missing. We found the bodies of your squad, but you and Sam Wilson were gone. Sam died during transport to the Vraxian ship, Olivia said quietly. They kept me alive for experiments. The Admiral studied her face. The medical team says you're not entirely human anymore. They found nanotechnology throughout your body, changing your cellular structure, Olivia nodded. The Vraxians were trying to understand human neural link technology. They injected me with nanots to enhance my connection. It worked better than they expected. Show me, the Admiral said. Olivia looked at a computer terminal across the room. With a thought, she connected to it. The screen lit up, files opening and closing rapidly. Admiral Parker's eyes widened. That's impressive and concerning. Sir, that's not all, Olivia said. I accessed their computer systems while captive. The Vraxians are planning a full-scale invasion of human space. They've developed technology that can hijack our neural links, potentially turning our own soldiers against us. The Admiral's face hardened. When? Soon. Days, maybe hours. I sent a warning message from the asteroid field, but I don't know if it was received. It was, Parker confirmed. Partial transmission, heavily degraded. Enough to put our forces on alert, but not enough details for a proper defense plan. He studied her for a moment. Can you tell us everything you know? Locations, numbers, capabilities? Olivia nodded. Yes, sir. But there's something else you should know. She hesitated, then continued. I'm not just carrying information. I might be our best weapon against them. The next few hours were a blur of briefings and planning sessions. Olivia shared everything she had learned about the Vraxian fleet, their numbers, positions, weapons capabilities, and weaknesses. The human military leaders listened with growing concern. Based on these coordinates, the strategic officer said, their main fleet will arrive at the Arcturus Gate within 12 hours. That's our primary faster-than-light entrance to Earth's solar system. Can we mount a defense in time? Admiral Parker asked. We've already diverted all available ships, the officer replied. But honestly, sir, it won't be enough. The Vraxian fleet outnumbers us 3-1, Olivia stepped forward. There might be another way? The Vraxian ships all use similar computer systems to the research vessel where I was held. Systems I learned to access and control. The room fell silent as everyone turned to look at her. Are you suggesting you could hack their fleet? Admiral Parker asked. Not from here, Olivia explained. I would need to be closer, within direct communication range. And even then, I'm not sure I could control all their ships at once. But I might be able to disrupt their coordination, disable their weapons, maybe even turn some ships against each other. The admiral exchanged looks with his officers. That would mean putting you on the front line of the battle. With respect, sir, I already am on the front line, Olivia said. I have been since they captured me. After some debate, a plan was formed. Olivia would join the defensive fleet aboard the flagship, the TDS Invictus. As they engaged the Vraxian forces, she would attempt to use her unique abilities to disrupt the enemy from within. 6 hours later, Olivia stood on the bridge of the Invictus as it took position near the Arcturus Gate. Around them, 75 human warships formed a defensive line. It was an impressive force, but intelligence suggested the Vraxians were bringing over 200 vessels. Long-range sensors detecting FTL signatures, called out the sensor officer. Multiple contacts emerging from hyperspace. Olivia watched. As the first Vraxian ships appeared, their curved, organic-looking hulls were unmistakable. More and more ships emerged until the view screen couldn't display them all. At the center of the Vraxian fleet was a massive vessel, 3 times the size of any other. That's Krell's ship, Olivia said, recognizing the distinctive pattern of energy emissions. The command vessel. Admiral Parker, who had chosen to lead the defense personally from the Invictus, turned to her. Can you do this? Olivia nodded. I'll need to focus completely. I might look unconscious, but don't disturb me unless absolutely necessary. She sat in a chair the crew had prepared for her, equipped with medical monitors and support systems. Closing her eyes, Olivia reached out with her mind, extending her consciousness beyond the ship, searching for the familiar patterns of Vraxian technology. The distance was greater than anything she had attempted before. At first, she felt nothing but emptiness. Then, faintly, she detected the nearest Vraxian ship systems. She pushed harder, stretching her abilities to their limit. Suddenly, she was in. She could sense the entire Vraxian network, ships connected by communication links, all ultimately led by the command vessel. And at the heart of that vessel, she felt a familiar presence. Krell was there, directing the invasion. As the human and Vraxian fleets opened fire on each other, Olivia began her own battle in the digital realm. She attacked the Vraxian systems, disrupting targeting computers, scrambling communications, overloading power regulators. Vraxian ships began to falter. Some fired on their own allies. Others lost power or drifted out of formation on the bridge of the Invictus. Admiral Parker watched in amazement as the seemingly unstoppable Vraxian force fell into chaos. It's working, he breathed, but in her mind Olivia faced a new challenge. Krell had realized what was happening. The Vraxian scientist was fighting back, using his knowledge of the technology he had created to block her access, to push her out of their systems. You cannot stop us, his thoughts seemed to say as their minds battled across the digital void. What I created, I can control. Olivia pushed harder, focusing all her strength on the command ship. If she could disable it, the rest of the fleet would lose coordination. You didn't create me, she thought back. You only showed me what I could become. With a final surge of mental energy, Olivia broke through Krell's defenses. She seized control of the command ship's main systems. Life support, engines, weapons, all were hers to command. As the human fleet pressed their advantage against the confused Vraxian forces, Olivia sent one final message directly to Krell. You should have let me keep my rifle. It would have been more merciful. Then she shut down every system on the command ship, leaving it dark and powerless in space. Without leadership, the Vraxian invasion crumbled. Some ships retreated, others surrendered. By the time Olivia opened her eyes on the bridge of the Invictus, the battle was over. Humanity had won. Admiral Parker helped her stand on shaky legs. How do you feel? Olivia looked out at the stars, at the scattered remains of the Vraxian fleet, like a soldier who completed her mission. What now? The Admiral asked. The medical team says the nanites are permanently part of you. You're something new, Lieutenant. Reeves, something between human and machine. Olivia smiled faintly. I'm still me, sir, just ... more. They took my weapon, but they made me into something stronger." She turned to face him fully. "And I think Earth is going to need that strength in the days ahead." As the Invictus turned toward home, Olivia Reeves stood tall. She had gone from soldier to captive to weapon to savior. Whatever came next, she would face it not as a victim of Vraxian experiments, but as a defender of humanity,